perfect in knowledge and in all
Siddhartha
aspects. Siddhartha, Lord of the world, Supreme Guide, Teacher of God's community, to you the community of the the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan. I prostrate my top present and returning. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the great destroyer, the completed perfection, holy awakening being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Siddhartha, Lord of the world, Supreme Guide of the Buddhists of the faith, Teacher of God's infinite beings, to you the completed and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate my God prince in ever refuge. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the great destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Siddhartha, Lord of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate my God prince in ever refuge. We know supreme amongst creatures, you are born and served. You paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you, who are wise men, I prostrate. With you, O body, is born supremely pure. With liberation I perform supreme. Faith and belief in the supreme world. Ruler of the race of God, to you I prostrate. The supreme science, space-like spotless moon. Color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust free like you, the three worlds are not. The perfectly wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the founder and the Lord of the Spirit, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean. To you, the one gone to dustness, I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime reality, to the Dharma that pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts. To you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha. Homage to the Dharma refuge. Homage to all three, every devout homage. To all worthy of respect, bound with body as many as all realms, atoms in all aspects. With supreme faith, I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the four faults and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness and death. To page 15 for the Heart of Perfection of Wisdom Sutra. I prostrate to the Arya Triple Gem. Thus did I learn one time that Bhagavan was dwelling on the two mountains, Mount Sumatra here, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagavan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perfection. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those 5 categories also being in perfection. Then, through the power of Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara: how should any sattva be restrained to the practice and practice of profound perfection wisdom? He said that the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra. Shariputra, any son of the lineage of Bodhisattva who wishes to practice the activity of profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this: correctly and repeatedly behold those 5 aggregates also empty. Form is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is not other than form is not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling
Shariputra therefore in emptiness there is no pain, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factor, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, which is all thought, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no I element and so on, up to and including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration, without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the endpoint of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequal, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering should be known as the truth, since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared, Tayata Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisoha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. And the Bhagavan arose from that concentration. Avalokiteshvara saying, well said, son of the lineage. It is like that, it is like that. One should practice a profound perfection of wisdom, just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoiced. The Bhagavan having thus spoken, the venerable Sharadeviputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, those surrounding in their entirety along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed at the high praise that's spoken by the Bhagavan. To page 25 for the short Mandala. Ashi Jushi Meta Re Ra Rin Shi Nin De Gen Padi Sangye Shin De Me De Kwe Nam Da Shin La Ju Bara Sho Jetsa Lama Gamba Ke Nam Ji Chue Ge Kala Chin De Ti Jeta Sambe Du Je Te Man La Sa Je Chue Ge Chava Abdu So Guru Radha Mandala Kandiyantayami Sanje Jetan Soji Chanan La Chanchu Bado Dani Kyapsuchi Dage Chujin Jibe Sonam Ji Dora Penche Sanje Chubra Sanje Jetan Soji Chanan La Chanchu Bado Dani Kyapsuchi Dage Chujin Jibe Sonam Ji Dora Penche Sanje Chubra Sanje Jetan Soji Chanan La Chanchu Bado Dani Kyapsuchi Dage Chujin Jibe Sonam Ji Dora Penche Sanje Chubra Pangade Zenye Zave Dawa Doje Bawa Yi Tempe Chine Tenze Kodam Dela Chazel Tunye Yenje Sande Chube Lan Chiche Size Kache Tendre Chana Bemo Deze Jazol Soa De So Shen De Lundro Sho Bande Zave Lan Maro Loche Dara Nyingore Bande De Sho Kode Chime Hune Chizode Uzando Shen Udo Se Do So Oya Danzo De Handa Di Melam Di Kone Sanje Chudan Soyi Chanan La Chichupadu Dani Kyapsa Chi Da Shi Zo Jiwa Da Je Tola Penche Sanje Chuba Shor Se Dege Ni Jamdo Da Semji Da Mik Se Di Nega La Kuno Ani Nge Dagi Churanzo Ina Chönye Chiwa Sa Da Nge Zinda Nyemba Di Ndo Semji Shin La Pembe Chi Du Ani Chö Di Nyingi Yen Se Kuno Di Cheg Yore Se Zang Zo Di Nge Da Chö Nyemba Di Ndo Semji Shin La Pembe Bashi Ki Chi Di Nyingi Yö Sanje Kuno Semji Chanju Semji Kuno Cheg Yore Se Ro the prayer that we just recited, the refuge, go for refuge into the enlightenment to the Buddha, the Dharma, the highest assembly, by practicing perfections, giving another perfections, may one attain to the state of a Buddha to benefit all, is the bodhicitta, refuge and bodhicitta, those two intentions too. And then when one says that, by listening to the teaching, one is doing that with the resolve to listen to this class for sentient beings' benefit as one's motive. So therefore, when you listen to this teaching on Namrim, it is not just for oneself, but only to benefit other sentient beings, having the bodhicitta motivation. Please meditate on that reflection, that motivation. Now, rejoicing that one has the chance to meet with the Lam-rim, which is excellent in quality, so fortunate, rejoice in that. In the space in front of oneself, visualizing Buddha Shakyamuni, the founder of the Dharma, and then the lineage holder of that Dharma, one's kind spiritual friend, the Lama. And as you visualize that merit field, you're receiving the blessings of body, speech, and mind of that merit field, and reciting together. To you, foremost of the Shakyas, whose body is formed. Speech fulfills the hopes of infinite transmigratory beings, all objects of knowledge, to Manjushri and Maitreya, whose emanations sport in innumerable universes, possibility.
You are the supreme sons of I prostrate you at the feet of Nagarjuna and the Sangha, ornaments of Jambudvipa, who compose commentaries in accordance with the intention on the mother of the conquerors so hard to fathom. I bow to Dipankara Atisha, holder of the treasury of instructions that gathers together the important points completely and unmistakably of the path, the profound view and vast conduct, the excellent lineage descending from the two great charioteers. I prostrate respectfully to the spiritual teachers, eyes that see the infinite scriptures, who with skillful means, moved by compassion, clarify the supreme entryway of the fortunate traveling to liberation. The stages of the path to enlightenment are the excellent lineage handed down from Nagarjuna and Sangha, crown ornaments of the wise of Jambudvipa, and banners of fame resplendent among transmigratory beings. This instruction, the king of powerful jewels, fulfills all the desired aims of the 9 types of beings. It is an ocean of glories and excellent explanations, gathering the rivers of 1,005 scriptures. Through it you can realize that all the teachings are without contradiction, understand all the scriptures as instruction, easily find the intention of the conqueror, and be protected from the abyss of very faulty conduct. Therefore the supreme instruction is relied by many fortunate ones, the wise beings of India and Tibet. What analytical person would not be captivated by the stages of the path of the 3 types of beings? Contemplate the meaning of this method that gathers the essence of all the scriptures. Even teaching or hearing a single session definitely gathers great waves of the essential
benefits of explaining or listening to the Holy Dharma.
Rely correctly and with effort in thought
and action on the holy spiritual friend, a teacher of the path, and foundation of perfectly bringing auspiciousness for all the excellent collections of this and future lives. Having seen this, do not give him up even at the cost of your life.
And please him with the offering of practice just as they instruct.
You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way.
I, who am seeking liberation,
will also practice in this way. This body of leisure, more precious than the wish-fulfilling jewel, is found but once,
though difficult to obtain again. It finishes as quickly as lightning in the sky. Having reflected in this way, realizing that all worldly activities are like winnowed chaff,
you must take its essence day and night. You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. Although there is no certainty that after death
you will not be reborn
in the bad migrations,
the 3 rare sublime ones will definitely protect you from this fear.
Therefore, steadfastly take refuge in them and never degenerate the precepts.
In addition, think well about
the results of black and white actions and depend on the correct practice of that to be adopted and that to be rejected.
You, the perfect Guru,
practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way until you attain a body with pure characteristics.
You will not make progress
in your practice of the supreme path. Train in the causes of becoming free of those
impurities.
Since your 3 doors
are defiled by negative actions, downfalls, and stains, it is particularly
important to purify karmic obscurations. Therefore, continuously cherish reliance on purification with the 4 forces.
You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way.
If you do not put effort into contemplating true sufferings,
the faults of samsara,
you will not develop the wish for liberation. If you do not contemplate true origins, the steps for entering into samsara, you will not understand how to cut the roots of samsara. Therefore, rely on weariness,
definite emergence from samsara, and cherish your knowledge of what binds you to samsara. You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way.
아야다 다음들이 데려와 아디시기 요래와 먼저 단다 코와 jugbe rimbe on the chev du ju kunjung dan tebu du dance ro anzo anzo phungbo de dang ni chi chowe nang ge dungye kangye mandigo mangbo jungbu de ba
Yeah.
o daran re da ji chö gi tik di thakuro cha ro go ma shi ji da ngaran zu nyon shinbe ni kangye da dungye da thamandigo da maji ba da mangbo de la du dance la go re ta de ni 수수브레 와 간에 총으로 슬람 다운디 데니 귤라데네 규젠라데네 총으로 규카레스디 안 단다디 군중 레다 뇨몬라데네 레총 레고앙게 앵어서 두스체니까 와짜라 두스첸다고 군중들이야네 레주 군중도 뇨몬 군중이 예베나네 갑데 람림라 뇨몬 군중이 시기도 하디 제베르메 온chen 시기요레스로
Okay. We are looking at how we enter into cyclic existence in terms of true origins and the result of that, which is true sufferings. And if we really think about it, except for the Dharma words being perhaps a little difficult, the reality is that true suffering are our aggregates, are our embodied aggregates, that through life we experience problems and dependence upon. So in that sense, we experience these suffering problems and we get upset and all of that. And this is really the nature of true sufferings. So then the question comes, what is the cause of this unsatisfactory predicament? Who made it? It is a product of cause and conditions, which we can identify as true origins. Amongst those true origins are afflictions and karma, primary of which are afflictions, and the way that they're taught in the Lamrim are in terms of the way of the afflictions coming first and the karma second. No.
제가 군중 코베 주름 마산나 코베 자워 주지 미신베스 송다 어드레다 군중 코베 주름스도 먼저기 동해다 다딩상으로 전부 나라 강에 망고 용되기도 직직 체사 제가 프렌즈 추보자래 지금 마찬가지 아니 지 나로게 강에래 다직 나로게 세워 드메시티고 관련 식으로 하도서 망고 지 동해 강에 망고 지 용데 요데 상마 아니 자와디 이 뇨몰라데 총으로 했어 뇨모 온게 중조디 야고지 마신바이나 아니 먼저 코와 코베 자와디 아니 다 가서로 만디고 타만디고 강에 마지베게 자와디 아니 주주디 신경 말했어 티마신베이네 양자 디 로바직슈 디 뇨모데 제윤디 nga lesa wala söta yamena nga lemena lesa wasa dus chene da nyomonde ne nga zona ta chi kharso re munege ta chi zambling chesa zambling kange chungsa ane chi nangmi phenju ki kange chune ya rangsu su chi tingsa da chizo na la mangbo ji yorwa tingdu ki kange mangbo ji yonde ga da semji kange mangbo shobje du changma zawa nyomole de ne chungde ga yore sesan de ko de da 묘목이 고 뒤도 대신고 여러 제작업들 아니 지 군중기 자와디 묘모래 다 묘목 고디 딜 네 디나라 다시 요레스로
which is why it is stated if you do in the text on page 6 if you do not contemplate true origins the steps for entering samsara you will not understand how to cut the roots of samsara. It's true, isn't it? In terms of the cause of the problems we mentioned, there's so much suffering in this world. There's suffering that we experience in countries. Countries are ill at ease with each other, but there are also much more immediate problems, inner problems like domestic violence. So we suffer, but the cause are afflicted states of mind. The point made is that if you don't know that, if you don't recognize that being the root of cyclic existence, then again and again one makes the mistakes and will have to suffer again and again, like in a round. So therefore, in general, there are the problems in the world, and then the more immediate problems of society. And in society now, so many mental problems, the roots of which are these true origins. And if we really look at the true origins, the root of it is afflicted mental states.
Nyomo shebalada, nyomo namshadi, shembeina, befendo chimbuyo resrua, unzo. Ni dongi mandiba, ruango, penangaranzo, kondo dang, deja dang, tado dang, ngaje dang, Suzurinduzo, Karakari yimedi, yawa shembeina, ngo de shen, and the Jukarle de Nechung de shen. The Debukari made the shen, do the shembeina, and the Pandangrin, but the yawa shen, we are.
Okay.
Or the shake yours.
So therefore, what's important, if the afflictions are really the source of true origins, the source of our dissatisfactions, then it is important we know them. It's very beneficial, it's greatly beneficial to be able to recognize the afflicted mental states. We suffer, we experience mental states where we are ill at ease, we have anger, we have desirous attachment, we have jealousy, we have pride. So, it is important that we recognize the entities of these invalid emotions, their causes and results, and to know them. And in knowing them, we are able to abandon them.
So, Delayada, Nyomo, Monson Delaya, Dezen Shi, Subject Shi, Lamrin Chimana, Subject Shi, Shishadwashana Yabudo.
Yeah. So, therefore, in that light, then, in recognizing the afflictions, there are 4 headings in the Lamrim.
No. Tangodela, Nyomo, Monson, Tangodi, the name Nyomo Chida Jeverimba, and Nyomo Jevi Jukal in the Chungimi, and Nyomo Nimix in it.
So those 4 are like this. First, we identify the afflictions. Second, we look at the order in which they arise, or the order of production. Third, what are their causes? And finally, what are the faults of the afflictions? These 4 headings.
That Hambo Nyomo, Sinikare, Nyomo, Sinimo, Sinikare, Javindu, Kunduna, Danda Tanda.
Kundule, why?
Kundu Tanda Karsheresna. Ranjula Dembe, Susu Jula Yata, on the same Majiba, Sim Mashiva Sonisto.
Yeah.
Sim Mashiva, Soniegi, Chile, Unigi, Simjung de la, and Nyomo like your restaurant.
So, first we're going to define what the affliction is, to give a definition from the Compendium of Knowledge. An affliction is defined as a phenomena that, when it arises, is disturbing in character and functions through its arising to upset or disturb the mind stream.
So that the Taran read down the Nyomo lady on the Suzuju Simba Mashiva Sonid, Simba Mashiva Sonye, Simba Majiva Sonye, Simba Matuba Sonye, and where I just live and do, and the La Shukchung Dama the Shujing Gorwa.
Yes.
And it Shukchunga to the Susijigo Majiva Soji Shajik. And the Neshuk Chero to do, and this is the Yangi me, Nangmidan to Zoom Majiva Soya. Tile Shuk Cheva to do, and it's Chizo Kora Majiva Soya. What in day you're done, you wish you dam and that.
So then it's true, isn't it? What it says in the definition is that the nature of afflictions is that it makes the mind ill at ease, robs you of your mental peace, or makes the mind unsubdued. To a greater or lesser degree, to a smaller degree, that's going to happen to oneself. To a greater degree, it's going to affect those around you, your family members. And yet, to a greater degree, it could even affect the society. No.
That on the Tamalo Majibadi, Dugio Mare, Majibatan, Tamandibatan, Tungeta, Yokta, Dugio Mareva. Nota Suji Dugio Maretang, Nota Duni Missy Yomareta. Roya. Peggy Nota Duni Misdonata, the daisy. Sambaran Shima never chazara, me Shima never chare, Yokta, Nanyokta cover, Nanyomola cover you, Namajival cover you, Sinis Donata, the Peggy me. There's no battle, Sim took Sanders, Mingonege, Simatuk Joji Dana, Ala, and Yorogo Mendo, 데 강에 고고면도 알라 마지베도 고고면도 신이 젠냐 레미시지게 알라야 네 담은도 거이신이 요마르바 쳐산데 인도다 데스수소고 열어라 하면서 마지베도 수소고 열어 섬데 쳐산 수수주게 심중 마지베 녀몬데 아니 마지베 소고 열어 쳐산데 다 삼로 땅바이나 하면서 라투그 예스라디.
So in that sense, then it is the reality that no one really wants to experience those problems and sufferings, the troubles, unless some people, there's not really many people that say, oh, I like trouble, I like problems, I like suffering. And if they do in fact say that, we would have to say that's kind of not a kind of normal view. Then we would say that person's probably lost it a bit. So then the question is, who made the sufferings that we experience? What is the source? Well, we can recognize it as these mental factors of afflictions, isn't it?
다 딜레 예와도지 셰윤디 예와주 지단다 망고 쉽죠레로 딱 조로 조치베 온데로 셰윤디 예와딜라야 주샤게 요레스로.
There are many afflicted mental states, but essentially there are 10 to essentialize it. No.
답변은 당고디 되자로. 되자 뭐부터 가려라서나 치염 난게 유 두발라 아니 이도 모마질라 미네 이동을 내주디 이도 모마지레 이나양 먼저 수미주 이도다네 이도 모마라 아니 제스 차버봐 되자데 대해서 무슨 하고 열어라.
Now, firstly, attachment, how does it function? It takes an unattractive object as its object of observation, and due to thoughts of inappropriate attention, exaggerates attractive onto it. It is not that easy to recognize.
그 대당 안한서 정말로 다 되자 개념 여러 안한서 되자 배진 이마직을 되자 맞이와 대뇨 매버러지래 당한서.
We are so subject to this arisal of desirous attachment. There wouldn't be a day goes by without us having it, no?
다디 컨데스키 용도 사무담이나 되자디 디콘라야지 수미지 그 남도 야 수미지 남도 제야들 담면다. 담면들 유다 딩사이나 가라서 소셜 미디어인데 때문 담면다 따위나 아니 되자 파도야 계절 담면다 코네 계절 담면도 그 미기 담면다 통으로 진del라 되네요야. 아니 윤지 장갈라 다디 잡러들라 그 백그라운드 가려요라디 되자디 수술라 숨겹치기요로 수술라 고고 여바다오시 로 디자네 내가서 각부자기요래 수술 되자디 수술 숨겹치기요로 말 고고 여바다오시 자디 디셈나라 베마 팀베서 차지 셈나라 팀베서 자디 다딩안저 망버지기 딩안저로 고고도 쓰러와 딩안저 페이지 만저로 고고도 삼사라와 체제 안 되는 얘기요다 세상디 다라래도 왔다 되고 세상 되자디 디에제 원소야 각고를 수수 가르쳤는데 이런거 배전식이요 여러분 먼저 유들라 주고라 파 전예식이요 인자 근데 방야라 배전 배전신이 뉴뉴뉴뉴래다.
Okay. So, yeah, how does desirous attachment arise then? It is because we have these thoughts of inappropriate attention, invalid thoughts. And then, in dependence on the conditions the mind comes towards, desire arises. These days, social media is one condition. A lot of talk, or even the eyes seeing lots of things. But underlying that is a background, supporting it, guarding it, is this kind of attitude of that, oh, I want it. I want that thing type. So it's almost like that is mixed with the mind, and the mind turns towards the object and takes an interest in it. So for that reason, it's quite difficult to firstly recognize desirous attachment, and those who set out to abandon it are few. No.
Bena relia numshuguna jiwa. Numje regana jamna. Ti tuya pikale khabudo.
Yeah.
it
It is like when oil seeps into a rag. It is so difficult to remove the oil from the rag when you wash it, when it soaks in. Right, so there is desirous attachment, the objects of which are sight, form for the eyes, smells, sounds, tactiles, all of that. Second, we'll look at, it says here hostility, but literally in the Tibetan anger.
다 콘도디 다 심진나는 독베당 수술라직 동해서고 예외 남바시 된제 아니 심 띵에 아니 치 마가베란시 봐 뇌심 파직 파르버 가는 것이 교수님 뇌고도 제장하다 될 거금인도 써야지 파 다지 this thing was in there 렐라버여래 봐 콘도디
Hostility or aversion is when you feel threatened either by a living being or some inanimate object in an adverse way that will threaten your body and mind, and you seek to harm. This is easier to recognize.
그 콘드르게 유조지 가르라위나 너는 수술라 너가 제 심바와 냐면은 너가 제 심바 마면은 마음발 너가 제도 숨차서 수술하니라
And this kind of let's say process of harm could be that you were harmed in the past or being harmed now, or there's a thought that you will be harmed in the future. Either of those, isn't it?
다디네 수수기 가사라 바질로 파마 빈자 도구토모 룽바 덴델야야 너가 제 심바 제버주와 타다 투숨나 점네 야 좀진들레드네 먼저 컨트롤직 사용 거레스.
Yeah, and then another condition around the hostility or anger arising is your loved ones, that your loved ones were hurt in the past, are being hurt now, or might be in the future, and it's the same with parents and country and so forth.
다디네야 컨트롤 주진지 가서 수수 마가세 미저와 달람나리거다.
Yeah.
다들 미신다지 펜토고도나 양저 펜 달레 펜토니 미데 컨트롤사거도. 아니 펜토 심바 펜토 심바 마음바 펜토 주와 된데게 sometimes 아니 암 컨트롤직 사용도 아주 예로.
Another causing condition behind anger arising is if you have someone you don't like, an enemy, and others are helping them. And that could have taken place in the past, could be taking place now or in the future. You could get angry around that.
다디 주진 쪼로지레 미시지 유딜라 네오 마레 할다 타예버리 유진로와.
Okay, so these are just mentioning the essential causes, but actually the causes around hostility or anger are uncountable.
제가 수구네단레 저도가디 카시 깔레카디 컨트롤사도 깔레카네 깔레카디 컨트롤사도고다.
For example, it can relate to your body. When you get a bit tired, you get scratchy and angry. So, because you're exhausted, you get angry. And some get angry when they're hungry, no? Yeah.
제가 컨트롤 유딜라 that's sometimes 내 컨트롤이 간에 중도로 제가 이 삼다나 하고 그래요. 다시 유진들을 샤스로. 많죠. 당기게 유디가 나제 당아제 디슈치슈르 나제
So then it's really a personal thing to know oneself from experience what creates anger for you in terms of causing condition. But I would say that with more pride, the anger comes quicker.
콘드르게 젤레데 가르랍디네 수수수불레 뉴고도 왔다 딩상 센링베 그룹된된고도 왔어 수불레 콘드르식 좀 보잖아 타실레냐 근데 콘드르식 좀 해도 먼저 칸에 책도 잘라야 단 수부 남주도 자대야 되는 샤르고도 내 자두장을 아니 수수예용 미도서 수술라 마가비 차고도 와 내 자두 아니 relationship 디 강인 책도 와 지난 두zu 컨트롤기 질레 두zu 상로 때한테 개좀 보시오지래서.
Right. So each of these afflictive emotions kind of has a way it functions, which will come out later, but it's good if we look at them. So, for example, how does anger function to make the body ill at ease or not in harmony with health? Even this is supported scientifically. So, like with high blood pressure, is one result of anger. And then if you have anger, harsh speech, and showing a bad physical posture will harm others. So the direct friends who you're living with can be affected by your anger, to your left and right, as it were, the immediate friends, and then it can affect relationships. This is how anger functions. The one who has a grimacing disposition, everyone takes off when they see.
콘도디 노예신 할라오레 콘도기 젤레 노예신 할라오레 로 당기 되자데 카고도 로
To recognize the signs of anger and its manifest recognition is easy, but desires attachment is more sneaky and quiet.
아니 대카바
and more difficult to separate from as well.
배지 콘도기 젤레디 세부시죠 하고도야 당 네 동에 조부시게도야 되자게 동에데다 동에망 동에 유링와 동에 띵사바데 용거였어요.
Okay, I think with anger then it's clearer to be able to kind of recognize it and the suffering comes faster. But with desires attachment, what happens is it's more difficult to recognize, but it stays around longer. Yeah, it's like a longer term.
당연한 상마 되자단 콘도그 또 유모그 찡대요 그래서
And we are all kind of like chained by those two. You know, we're like bound by them.
지난 디네 파트나 그냥 타르버러지 레도라.
So if you're able to escape from those two, you have kind of reached a liberated state.
그래서 타르발라디 뉴몽 찡버들레 트레바디 타르버와. 뭐네시나 타뉴 레도다. 아무도 som당겨 뭐라.
Yeah, actually the definition we gave for liberation is when you are released from being bound by afflictions, and that could be very close, but we don't think.
다 조지 다 되자다 시단이디 녀다 뜻무에서 다 되게 emotion 리그도 락도 저런서 두슈지 다 군인이래로 다 신다디게데 만차 디니니기 주젠도 오직 차두고 요다.
So then those first two then attachment and hostility, or desires, attachment and aversion are what you would call negative emotions in terms of cause and condition. The others are bad, but these primary two give rise to the latter.
다 숨바디 nga제로 nga제라디 아니 다들에 다디 베제나는 지달라데는 토에 넘버 진실라는 코데르다 당고로 토에 킹셈 킹베 넘버시로 야 킹딩 셈야 칸딩 요시 감부나집 감부야 푸잡신.
Pride then is a haughty or lofty mind that is puffed up like a balloon.
이난 셈 킹바 토에 넘버 진들어 봐.
Yeah, it is like it's a high thinking you are better.
세상 데이터 주진 나만 나서래 봐. nga제들 망고시래 ngawo 냠베 냠제. 아니 중세년배 nga제레장 nga제세도 nga제라 요와 망고시여 봐. nga 진짜디나네 nga로줘야 쉬니 봐. 진짜디나네 nga 수부약 쉬니 봐. 진짜디나는 nga 미디나는 nga 빼샤만 쉬니 봐. 디제나네 nga intelligent 차쉬니 봐. 아니 디제나네 nga 빼디다 가서 그래. 지 가서 가와이나 짱구여서 봐. 단 유진 땀 맨들다 될라.
Yeah, there are just so many types of pride. There's the pride of thinking you're superior to someone. There's, like the pride of looking down on others, or there's the pride of the pride. So being proud amongst those others who are proud. But then also we could say in this class, thinking that you are the best scholar, or even thinking your body is the best fit, thinking that you are the most well off financially, thinking you are that intelligent and you're the sharpest, thinking that you're the cleverest. There are so many types of pride. Now, what happens is if that pride is strong, anger is quick to arise. Yeah. Alec,
dukshu nane ya ngara yakshu yin so zinde sam dang da nganzo da senjin be nganzo samba pe jo ya res ina digen nane ya ngara takshu yin se ngara changshe ngara dilleg da ya si ji le le da
ngarang troxus and ngarang
yakshu
yeah. So then there's the pride of being the best amongst the poor. So, like if the sentient beings, well, you think all sentient beings are suffering, but I'm slightly better than them. There's that pride as well. I'm best amongst them.
Ngarje dang simchuk le je ba.
Yeah.
Dije mares.
Yeah.
Mangbaji ngarje dang simchuk yamna po lam na digra po.
Yeah.
Digi ores ding san ba. Deje ani yungyo mares.
What's being said here is that it's important not to mix pride with willpower. Or let's say don't mistake pride for bravery. These days a lot of people mix the two.
Bena zinda ne nga lobjong yakshu chigi yin sirwa education yak lomara baji ngaran zina zinda ne nga lobjong yakshu chigi yin en shinda de nga le ma kyo res je ma shinda de la ma da rani thowa je na ta de nga je cha do yo res ro.
Yeah, for example, if you were to think in this class I will be the best student, and independence on thinking that you would look down on other students, that is pride. That's not good.
다 samlo kharta marasana zinda ne nga ngaran lobjong yakshu je ani nge mission la phendo yo ba ji chigi yin sirwa samlo dang yong de da gulong de shenbian ge gulong ji yewe to ne nge lobjong yakwo che ba de nga mil phendo chigi yin samlo dang bi na ta di nga je cha ga yo mare de nga zo go po dang simshuk cha ga yo ra.
But if you think in this class I'll study really well, study the best I can so that I can benefit others and help them, that's not really pride. That is a type of courage or willpower to do the best.
어디로 ngaje da ngaje di ni keche shu ngaje gi nyambos nan de la shengi yönden shen ya de shengi yönden gyönje jen ma da mu che yönden sam da keche mro.
Yeah, a lot of pride comes when you are looking at qualities of others' knowledge.
어디지 다디네 아니 너무 요스 뭐 시와 마릭바드로 마릭바드. 다 딘시다 렌데다 군조당 다 최고외내로 외내도 제다와시 마신이 있으면 좀 되라 마릭바스요.
Kishla denzo taminra tamin.
Taminarwa.
Yeah. So this next affliction, ignorance, is when you are unaware or you're misunderstanding or unclear about the nature of the four truths, karma and its effect and the three jewels. That's ignorance.
제가 마릭바스 땅랑저 데 내가 마신베 온게 강에 십지 연구요래 마신벌 때네 차단 연구요래와 마신벌 때네 가제 연구요래 마신벌 때네 텐좀 연구요래 마릭바디다 자와 차가 녀모 가저다 강에 손이 자와데 마릭바 차기였다.
It is a troublemaker in dependence on unknowingness or unknowing and ignorance. We suffer a lot. In dependence on ignorance, desires, attachment, and aversion arise. Pride comes, doubt comes. All of these things come.
아주 지배 아니 소연나야 강에 가를 태워 유나에 독사디 마시베 미신몽베 온게 중대와 미신몽바디 지수네 차단 제제로와 차단의 지수네 룡하가 차와대 아니 동해용해야 야야야 자와테로나 미신발라 툭대요레스로.
And in this life, when we experience difficulties, we can trace those difficulties being grounded in underlying unawareness, underlying ignorance, and result of that ignorance, attachment to self, aversion to other, and then body and speech actions follow, and then it goes.
제가 아나저 다 마리고들라 내다 망보지 요래와 안에 렌데가 남샤 그냥 알아서 단다 두 사람단이 먼저 류디 간에 중요해와 야 삼다나 다 파마니를 되네 파메 쿠랄 되네 중요하디 먼저 신기요와
Yeah.
딩이를 간에 중요해서 다 신기면도 로야
Yeah.
딩이를 간에 중요해를 때 디네다 차사송아 낙테면
So many levels of unknowing and ignorance. Just the cause and conditions like of us. Look at our predicament. If you say, what is the cause of one's body? Of course, we know that it is from the parent sperm and ovum. But before that, things go dark. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, think about it. When you go beyond that, there's no path. It's blocked. That is unknowing. That's ignorance. Yeah, the Tibetan word marikpa literally means not to see, not to, how you say, perceive.
근데 신의 레라 되어요. 당연히 하고 뭐 레라래 레라 되는 중요해. 그런저 점블링 미디. 아니 내추럴 상마 뚜루다와. 아니 되게다 툭 중어 투 치 중어 투. 나게 치 중어 투도 먼저 수보데 중어 투. 아니 대 파즈 상마 투도 아니 먼저라 내 담면도 용되게 여러. 다 디제가 상마 투사디 아니 되자다 셰단디 제레. 디제 투사 자와디 마리 바래. 제가 안다디 베베게 메기 슝당 디 낭베게 슝다오 대와시죠라 먼저기 네지 수국이 내나서 상마 아니 롱단 티와단 백인서로 롱디 백인서로 내 총어라 디게디 자와가서는 되자시나 디무스는 지네 총어라 롱단 티와 백인서로 되게 수국이 나서 상마 되게 자와딜 두고 열었어 아니 디 수부르바디 롱디 백인서는 가서 통고여라 다 롱데다 먼저 누저 멤베 하고면 와 롱가 나자디 혼자 하고면 와 티와 하고도 아니 게스틱도 하고도 백인데 신기도 와 롱가 나자디 신기면 와 혼자 다 디가 자와데 가서는 되자다 시나 되자시나 디무스나 되네 총어를 알잖아 녀몰라 되네 내 나자 용화디 게디 녀몰디네 용되게 요로 나란도 세보도 와미지 스트레스다 앵자이티 숙점부터 칼라여고 사두면 와 다가는 되어도 남사하고도 와 칼라여고 사무도는 수고야고요 말에 아니 수고라 주진이 냠도 걸지 칼라여고 사무도 인지 니네 삼로데 부수도 망고 단데 아니 롱페용제 아니 수고게 누가도 사도고요 지제도 미디 직 스트레스다 앵자이티 숙점부 미디 베데 게야 요거도 게야 요요 미데즈 삼발헐 삼바지 릴렉스 유니도 게야 뇽어요래로 게야디 뇽어요 그래서 말하는 미 통고도 아니야. 녀야 하고도 녀야 하고도 무슨 용고도 통고도 알아.
So then, looking at this unawareness or ignorance, even these contagious diseases we find are karma. Well, they're really, if we look at the causes behind them, it's karma. The world is experiencing them, and it's because all of the elements in the world have become kind of shaken up, truth, perturbed, these outer elements. But really, the outer perturbances of the elements relate to our physical bodies. And, it is coming back to the three of desires, attachment, aversion, and ignorance relating to those outer perturbances as well. And we see this direct correlation in the Tibetan medical system. So these are direct correlation between the Tibetan medical system and Dharma. So, we talk about these three humours in the Tibetan medical system of desirous attachment, aversion, and ignorance relating to bile, wind, and phlegm. And when we understand, because we're ignorant of these three afflicted states of mind, desirous attachment and aversion, and ignorance, then we don't know how bile, wind, and phlegm create up disturbances in the body. So there is that. It's really clear. There's a clear correlation there. So particularly the element of wind, how wind disturbances upset us and we get sick. The modern scientists can probably recognize bile and phlegm more, the gastric level and those other bilious diseases. But this one of wind, it's much more difficult for them to get a hold on. Okay, so we can see how that works. If the person is stressed out, they can't eat. When the body's winds and these other humours are upset, the power of the body goes down, the immune system goes down, and you lose the bodily power. And as a result of that, imbalance of those three humours, the person becomes stressed out and can't eat. And we tend to find that a stressed person is more anxious and the aging process is quicker. A person who's more relaxed and less angry doesn't age as fast. So all of this can be traced back to unknowing or ignorance. Mm-hmm.
Is it direct, like there's the bile, the wind, and the
phlegm? Yep.
Does it relate?
Yeah. They relate to the three poisons.
Which
Yeah.
ones?
Kishla chiki chikla tende yorwa. The kasa. The cha. Kondro. Timok. Lu. Lung. Tiba. Ding chiki chikla tende yorwa. Yeah, they directly correlate. I'm not sure which is which, but chiki chikla kandis ten lamna. Pena dercha sayadi.
Pena that is in your lungti pegasum slaviandi. Ne lung to the page condo share in lung share.
Right. So probably wind. Quick to anger is usually wind. Is it? I'm not totally sure, but I think.
아니 티와디 니 되자당 되자시에는 티와시에죠. 아니 디무시에는 뱅게시에죠. 된데지라고 이렇게.
And I think bile is desirous attachment and phlegm is kind of dull and ignorant. I think I recall them to be that way. Yeah.
어딘데래다 제가 자와 당가란저리와지 디규 처에나라. 아니 지 강에로다 가리 지기온데 남사야 삼로스탄로데 아니 지 당불 남사야면은 되자라 되네 강에 중대와 야면은 콘도 어면은 차도 콘도 차도다 콘도도 타니워도 차도를 되네 콘도 사기도로 차도디 되자단 되어요래요 베진 차도 되자단 숙차요 되와 숙차요.
Yeah. So in this life, all the sufferings we experience, if you really think about it, they're only going to come about due to having desire around something or aversion around something. And jealousy is close at hand, isn't it? Jealousy is close to us. And I think jealousy is really like a branch of desire. The fifth afflicted mental state is doubt.
다제다 셰르 메디 텐좀 얘기할다 안저와 디이나 메나 유에나 메나 아니 가시에 내가 가르치고 있으면 하모고 로 가시에 칼라 가르쳐고 있으면 하모 텐좀산으로 상한날도 하고다 텐좀 시망아 예메데 근데 가시에 왜 칼라 타주시알 칼라하고 쉬우 디사고이나 디 텐좀래.
Doubt is really a lack of wisdom. There are people who don't know what work they should do. Some people don't even know what to eat when they go to a restaurant. Shall I eat this? Shall I eat that? and it goes on. So much doubt.
텐좀디 쉽지 어렵다.
Yeah, it is a big point.
텐좀들라 야니 니용거를 직직디 아니 배 록베쇼라 돈이 직 텐좀디 수 야가 쇼라 돈이 직로 레준데 유나 메나 페제 유서레스는 텐좀 야가 줘. 레준데 유나 메나 다 유서 마레스는 아니 다 데디 록발라 되는가 요래와 미리 야고 이나 메남다 야고 인서레 야고 인서 마레스.
Yeah. So there's two kind of ways the doubt can go. It can tend towards the fact or tend away from it. So if it tends towards the truth, probably cause and effect is valid. It is better, isn't it? But if it tends away from the behavioral cause and effect understanding, it's more not so good. You know, and then you can doubt, is that a good person? Is that not a good person? You know, can be like that too.
텐좀 쉬우지요. 텐좀로와.
Yeah. There's so much doubt. It is quite pervasive.
다데 따면 가서나래. 다드네 따와가 둠바디. 직조라 따와서다.
So the above five were called non-views. The following, beginning with number 6, are views. The first is the Kasa Jigta, right? It says here the reifying view of the perishing aggregates. Let's just say the false view of the transitory collection, whatever.
다 직다디 편한 가란주 풍불라 믹제와 녜 룰라 믹네 나오냐베 나세 녜 믹스로 녜 락과 녜 디기 녜 요체고다 딜라 믹네 아니 데다 디타와 딩아오 따베 따와 셰로 뇽몬지 디시고요로다.
Yeah, it is a mistaken wisdom, an incorrect wisdom that takes the aggregates as a basis and in dependence on that mistaken wisdom views them as I or mine, my eyes, my hands, my happiness, and so forth.
이상한저 디 지단다와 나요르와 타니디 이나양 안저게 디 풍불라 믹네 풍부디 나이 팅요르다.
Yeah.
녜라고디 나이 다 망버지 녜라고 나이란 라고 말이다. 나세 녜라고 녜심디 나이 있을 이네 같이 수술 류가이 같이 레방가이 신이던데 용구여와 그래서 레방가 말와 게 심행가 말어시다 마잉이 지라 임바다와 인상 콜로라고 싶어다.
Yeah. Okay, so there is a conventional I that is there, but we often mistake the aggregates to be me. Well, some people, obviously the hand is not you, but some people think, you know, I am my body, I am my brain. So in that case, you've taken a non-existent to be existent. You've taken what is not the case to be so.
세상다 디 nga 세야디 슈첨보 요나 아니 nga 슈첨보 용거래 응 콘도 슈체 용거요래 다 데레 직다데레다 마소고서 선에 싸워직 데레다.
So therefore if that I, that view of the transitory composite is strong, pride is developed, independence on that, and then anger, and then all of the problems come.
나눠서 창말라 베디다 디 쇼고야라네 콘다 마녜사고 디나는 두고 당한서.
And from waking up in the morning to sleeping at night, we're at the behest of that view.
디 롭존 제곰 잡네 내다 마신사고 때나는 거르잡래래 다 간다.
And until we study and meditate, we will go around believing that view.
제단다 뇽몬주나만 지조다 딸레주면 로이단 다니 내저번에 다는 당기게 되자 세당 콘로디게 차단 직조를 따와들려드네 용거 오코나 말이거래와 셰로
kisla umala jukparbe
뇽몬주나만 직조다스도 딸레주면 로이단 다는 도이 위도도시 내저번에 다는 거고시 땅원에게 내저바 냠렘바지 이나 디 직다디 까고랬다 로로바디 디가 그래서 뭐다.
Yeah. As is quoted by Chandrakirti in Entrance to the Middle Way, having seen with his mind's eye that all of the faults and problems within samsara are a result of this false view of the transitory collection. The yogi sets out to refute the self. Really, if you are practicing Dharma, you are setting out to refute this false view.
다 직다딜라 니 현재당 군다스로 다데 디데스 라초 하고 여봐 당분간서 딘데 상단에 야고요 지단은 안한 줄길래 요래딜래 요바디 신기요 말와 간대지 응외신도 거 말을 창말로 야고지 요 튕겨요 다 당분간서도 스타나 단대 나다 아니 계산기 많이 가서 가르다기도 왔다 지부지냐다기도 와 아니 계산 가드마드나 다른 쇼베 가드다 단단 지고 인인 튕겨도 어딜라 당지티 요 말아 오늘 지고 인이 din이 지고 말아 다른 체제다 단디 요도 사러 쉬어지 디나다 가서 din이 지고 인나 가서 개베 동에 차고 해민도 알아 개베 동에 고 해민도 개제 요 말하고 그래서 요 따고 있나 요도요 말하고 요도도 아주 지고 멤버들 땡겨요 뭐 내주디 지고 말해서 이나 가서 셈게 지고 인 튕겨요 그랬다 그 당보들했어요
Okay.
작버렸지
Now, that view, that reifying view of the perishing aggregates, or the false view of the transitory, is there's an instinctual level to it and an acquired level to it. Recognizing them is not easy. It's not easy to introduce ourselves to this recognition or to be acquainted with it. For example, you think you instinctively think you are the same person you were yesterday, and even the same person you were this morning. Now you are thinking like that, but really that's grasping at a self. How much change has happened since this morning? Isn't it? It would be okay if we were the same person. We would not get old. But that aging process, there is no permanent notion of the aggregates. And this is just like the gross level, but the mind clings to that gross level of permanence now.
다들 내마 삼로지 땅데 아니 나스디 풍보라 더면이 완전히도 싫어 다들서 빼간을 상담하는 거서 뉴질랜드에 pombo 제스다 아댕기 가서 완주르고도 안들라 완주제 강의 되기도 하고 같이 강의 되기도 하다 어디나시 나와셔서디 데메기 완주니도 버지 용도 디나시 내 풍보라 더면이 갈 완주니도 버지 아직 요 튕겨였다 가서 이제디 지겨요 가서 상막
And then going deeper, believing that there's an autonomous owner of those aggregates. Let's give the example of Jacinda Ardern, how she rules over us and bosses us around, that type of power over us. It is the same with our understanding of the aggregates, and that there seems to appear an owner that is not related to the aggregates, and we adhere to that.
이단 그 뭐이네주디 나당에 풍불은 대화열에서와 이나간저 대화매니지 요팅이열에서 다 로가두고도
Yeah, but the reality is that there is a connection between the self and the aggregates, but we split that connection thinking, that there is an inherent owner of them, an autonomous one.
다디네 단도 마띵서로도 다딘데 나디 아니 자자자탄 뭐 유중원의 수준된 요시와 용거다.
So then going even deeper, believing that something exists 100% from its own side, isn't it? The inherent existence of that self.
당왜 내지도 가르잖아. 싱그 파스션 요지라면서 유중원의 수준 요지 요마로.
But really it is like the fact that the labeling consciousness has labeled that. It is not 100% from the side of the object. It's merely labeled. Yeah, so then we can go deeper into the views within Buddhism. Yeah. And Lord Shakyamuni Buddha coming to this earth with, teaching that view, if we really get it, then that's emotional control.
단다 먼저 셈다 뭐에 저 버르라 갭 첨부 쉽죠다 동바 첨부시 되제는 먼저 동구민도 왔다 당원에 왜 뭐에 저다 셈다 타뉴르 먼저 내주도 신기하다 내주도 배 자산 시행 거로 자산 내리다 좀좀 된대이다 따르기 남샤대 먼저 셈디 뭐에 내주당 타뉴르 써야게 탑람 약쇼지랬다
And then when you know reality of mind, you are closer to that reality. When you know reality, the mind becomes closer to that reality, but as an entity, by understanding this is the entity of it, the nature of it, the final mode of it. But for us, there's a big gap. There's a huge gap. But when the mind comes to know the reality of things, then there's not such a gap and such benefit.
좀 내내 낭박에 미 켈레나 유베소시다 낭바메나 메베스인데 말에 낭바 이나메나 왜내주디 때네 두데르 상물로 디시게
And Lord Buddha didn't set this forth saying, oh, this is only for Buddhists. Not at all. This is like, this is reality, whether you're Buddhist or not. It is the nature of things.
저는 지글직 때네 두데버데 왜내주 레다로
It is the fact that all phenomena are mutually interdependent. That is reality.
어디 다 직덕에 남샤데 신랑도 되는 단딩가 셰바나시 당고 미 감사합니다와 전에 라고 텐신이 딱 동아 되지마 바리 락바라고도 상당도이나 아니 참모델을 콜레야를 편도 요레스라.
So I think in terms of that view of the transitory collection, the false view of the aggregates we have, it's important to start at the grosser levels of what it is not, by understanding it is not permanent, and then going into the more less grosser levels of there is no autonomous owner of those aggregates to finally the more subtle understandings. Benefit like that. Can we recite the rest of the verses together to finish today?
We're on page 6, the second stanza from the bottom.
The base of support of the great waves of conduct, a philosopher's stone transforming all. Treasure of merit gathering infinite virtue. Heroic children of the conquerors maintain deeply the pledges. Guru practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. As a wish fulfilling jewel, satisfying the hopes of transmigratory beings. Cutting the knot of miserliness, the activity of jewel. Having understood this, the wise rely on the excellent path of giving away their bodies, possessions, and virtue. You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way. Practice in this way. Morality is water, cleansing the stains of faulty behavior. Splendid is Mount Meru in the midst of the 9 types of beings. It gathers all transmigratory beings with no dread of force. Having understood this, also practice in this way. The Supreme of all hardships, counteracting the torment of the afflictions. The Guru against the enemy, the snake of hatred, perfect armor, speech. Having understood this, cultivate the armor, supreme patience in many ways. Use the perfect when you don armor, steady and immovable, the qualities of scripture and realization will increase like the waxing moon. All your behavior becomes power. The Guru practiced in this way. also practiced in this way.
Concentration is a
It's like
key.
wielding the mind. When placed, it is immovable as Mount Meru. When sent forth, it engages in all virtuous objects. It induces the great bliss of a serviceable body and mind. Having understood this,
the lords of yogis rely continuously on the meditative stabilization that destroys the enemy, distraction. You, the perfect guru, practiced in this way.
I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. Wisdom is like noticing profound thusness, the path eradicating the root of existence,
the treasury of qualities
praised in all scriptures,
and renowned as the supreme of lamps dispelling the darkness of ignorance.
Having understood this, the wise who desire liberation generate the path with much effort. You, the perfect guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. One-pointed concentration alone is not considered to cut the roots of samsara.
Wisdom
Separated from the path of calm abiding,
will not avert
the afflictions,
no matter
how much you analyze. Having mounted the wisdom that reflects on the real mode of existence,
upon the horse of
steadfast calm abiding, with the sharp weapon of logic,
of the middle way free of extremes, destroy all mental
fabrications grasping at extremes, with vast wisdom analyzing in this way, increase the wisdom that realizes suchness. You, the perfect guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also
practice in this way. The meditative stabilization achieved by one-pointed meditation is not enough. With the individual investigation of proper analysis, generate the meditative
stabilization that abides firm and immovable
on the mode of existence.
Having seen this, understanding how wonderful are those who endeavor to accomplish the union of calm abiding and special insight, you, the perfect guru, practiced in this way.
I, who am seeking liberation,
will also practice in this way. In meditative equipoise, emptiness is like space. In post-meditation, emptiness is like an illusion.
Through meditation on both method and wisdom are unified,
whereby the perfect conduct of the conqueror's children is praised. Having realized this, the tradition of those of good fortune is not satisfied by either path alone. You, the perfect guru, practiced in this way.
I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way.
Having generated the common path necessary, supreme Mahayana paths, the causal and resultant, rely on a protector, a skillful master,
and enter the great ocean of the classes of Tantra. Then, through reliance on complete and perfect instructions, make
the attainment of your leisure and endowments meaningful.
You, the perfect guru, practiced in this way.
I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way.
Due to the virtue of explaining in clear words the perfect complete path pleasing to the conquerors, so as to familiarize my mind with it, and to benefit others of good fortune,
I made the prayer, may all transmigratory beings never be parted from the excellent pure path.
You, the perfect guru,
practiced in this way.
I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. To page 31, the short mandala. Sashe
Poje Joshi Metokram Rirab Lingshi Nidi Kempadi
Sange Shingdu Mikte Buwagi
Chokun
Namda Jingla Jopasho Jetsala Me Kutserate Shi Nakatrin Le Chokshu Ge Padam Lo Zam Tempe John Le Sasungi Droe Munsel Taktu Ne Guji Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamiriyatayam. Page 33 for prayers of dedication. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may there be whatever slight positive potential I may have created, I pay homage, offer, and acknowledge my faults, rejoicing and requesting that the Buddha's name teach. I now dedicate all this a full awakening. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by the victorious ones thus gone of the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble bodhisattva's deeds. May the king of Dharma, Tsongkhapa's way of Dharma practice flourish. May the errors of obstacles be pacified, and all the conducive circumstances be complete. The wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, the comparatively kind Tenzin Gyatso, I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. Saviour of the snowland teachings and transmigratory beings, who makes extremely clear the path that is the unification of emptiness and compassion, to the lotus holder Tenzin Gyatso, I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. You who uphold the subduous moral way, who serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining and preserving and spreading Manjanath's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplish magnificent prayers honouring the three jewels. Saviour of myself and others, your disciples, please, please live long. By relying on the true accumulations of myself and others in the three times, may the teachings of the conqueror Losong Drakpa blaze for a long time.